That's why it's called Ass Krakistan.
Okay.
All right.
Now that point is settled, that's good. Jeff, would you like to play some music?
Sure.
He gave you the secret signal.
He did, and it's not working, so I'm checking it off my bingo card.
It was working. I just was clicking the record button. Welcome to E1R Racers, a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of NASA Lemachamp or Lucky Track Dog you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussion, tips, tricks, as well as news and notes in the world of low-dollar endurance racing. And whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough and Chrissy gives us just the tip, we're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mental, and we are E1R Racers. Thanks so much for coming back and listening to an AWACS episode of our podcast. I'll explain why that matters. Or, if this was like a car show, we could say OBD2, which became mandatory in 96. But most importantly, if you're not driving a car, don't forget your E1R bingo card. We haven't updated it, but it's still funny.
Yep. Actually,
I think it's still pretty accurate right now.
It is. Bill was telling us he gets bingo all the time. He just doesn't even bother sending them to us anymore.
Oh.
Like, we don't get bingo, and we're the ones here. But I don't know. Whatever. He gets better cards.
He was the first guy to get bingo, and he won the Lucky Dog contest. So I get the feeling like next time I'm buying a lottery ticket, I'm just going to give the money to Bill, and Bill's going to go buy the lottery ticket.
Well, if Bill is the only guy buying the lottery ticket, I think his chances of winning go up a lot.
Uh-huh.
I'm not saying what that has to do with our show. I'm just saying.
It doesn't. It doesn't. So let's move on to, hey, what you working on, Chris?
Well, I was thrashing on the Honda to get it ready for Pitt. Got a big ass radiator in it by measuring the area that I could cut away into the core supports to fit, going on Summit Racing and just searching by dimensions for large aluminum radiators. So I ended up with some kind of Griffin Universal circle track radiator. They said it was good to 400 horsepower of American Fury. So I figured the Honda 2.4 should be adequate. It didn't really fit at all. I had to definitely cut some stuff away, had to make some new mounts. Had to find some hoses for example, for the lower hose, had to go from 1 3/4 to 1 1/4, and had to take this ridiculous, S-curve route to do it.
It was kind of like a curly Q. It was like
a
180
tail.
degrees and then 180 degrees.
And then 90.
And then 90, yeah. It's like when you yank a phone cord too much.
Yep. So the way to find this, here's top tip, Gates, the hose and belt company.
Dumbest tip ever.
I think this is great.
Coming up.
This is just a tip from Chris early on in the show.
It says. So once we're done with this freedom in the background.
I don't know that we're ever going to be done with freedom.
I can't.
I thought I was turning my mic off.
Well,
do I have a tube of mockery going?
No,
maybe.
Just freedom. I can't wait for Mental to not be homeless anymore so we can have uninterrupted podcasts.
Anyway, you go to
the
Gates website, and they have in their catalog of all the molded coolant hoses they make, and then they show them with a picture of what it looks like and the part number and the inner diameter of each end and the total length. So I sat there and stared at hose for a while until I found the hose that worked for me, and my local Napa came up with that for me. And I had to cut a couple inches off each one, but they fit perfectly. It was amazing. Like I had them made for it. Make some new fan mounts, which is good. Finish the ducting in the front end because really we're fighting that cooling issue. And everything was great at Pitt for cooling. It all worked, which I will be thrilled about. But I'll talk more about it later on in the main topic about how everything worked. And then unpacking, repacking, and ordering a whole bunch of parts for the next round of upgrades, the things we found we needed to do once we were testing it at Pitt. Again.
The list is a little short, though.
Yeah, it's shorter. And these are all...
So you got something? We can hear you.
Okay, I'm messing with my mic settings, so you guys will not have to listen to Jets. I'll keep fiddling with it.
Jets are okay. Cicadas would be great to avoid. Anyway, So yeah, everything worked. Everything we're going to have to do now is trying to make the car better, not just making it usable. So that's nice.
True.
Chrissy,
Very true.
what are you working on?
Oh, what am I working on? So
I
I
have
was
no
doing
idea.
other stuff while Chris was thrashing. I was trying to handle some food duty, but fortunately we split it between the four of us. So we had my prep was minimal. We all kind of chipped in and had some fun fruit and melange meat sandwiches and sing the song.
I was gonna sing the song, but I was waiting for you to finish.
Oh, okay. Well, just sing the song.
Well, you gonna mention what kind of fruit it was?
No, you are.
It was a rambutan. Have you ever had a rambutan, Mental?
No,
we got no mic.
Hey, that means all right. That means I can turn off the cicadas. Is that smelly thing from China?
No, that's a
No.
durian.
A rambutan is like a it's like a size of a kumquat, but it looks like I don't know what. It's
Like
It's
a
like a
sea
hairy
urchin.
kumquat.
Like
Or
an
like a sea
alien.
urchin.
Yeah, like
Yes.
a sea urchin. Like
I know what you're talking about. I've never eaten
non-spiky
one.
It
sea
kind
urchin.
of tastes like a lychee or similar to a lychee.
'Cause
But
I
I'm going to
ate
tell
lychees
you,
But
all
it looks like a caterpillar that you're probably not supposed to eat.
But it's circular.
yeah, it looks like a cancer cell, I think. But either way,
But it's delicious.
Bill from Garage Heroes in Training, he showed up and he went shopping and he showed up with rambutans and we all said, WTF is this? And I ate a bunch and I thought it was cool and I started singing a little song in my head and it infected Chrissy and she's very mad because I'm going to sing it now. And Mental, you can join
Turn
in.
my ears off.
Whoa, Black Betty, rambutan. We got a fruit, rambutan. Black Betty had a fruit, rambutan. Was real goofy, rambutan. But kind of juicy, rambutan.
Tastes real fine, rambutan. Gonna lose my damn mind, rambutan.
Right? This
Exactly.
is how the song
You just can scat on it all weekend long.
Oh, that's great. That's all. Well,
And we kinda
I
did.
think along with Spam, we've got a new staple for the
They're
3
really hard,
p.m. paddock.
hard to find, and they're not. They take a lot of work for a very little bit of fruit.
Yeah, they were not a great trackside treat. I'm going to be honest with you.
No,
Although
but
they were all right. There was nothing wrong with them.
He was excited that he found them in a place that he didn't think they were there. So we
It's
had
also
fruit.
one of those things that you wonder what the first person that decided, yeah, you know what, that's something I want to eat. And,
And then how does
figured it
one
out.
eat it? Like, how
Right.
does somebody decide, like, oh, let me do this? And then there's a big pit inside. Anyway, okay, so enough about rambutans. So I had minimal food prep to do. No, stop. Okay, so, but it was really nice because it was really hot last week. Here I'm complaining about the weather, like really hot. And so it was nice to be inside while Chris was outside packing and all that stuff. But as Chris said, Pitt was awesome. And now we have a normal week before we head to the beach. Also, this just in, it's tequila day. I know.
How did I not know that?
You must not follow the national calendar that tells you all of the things that happen each day. So it is National
yes.
Tequila Day.
I feel like a failure.
I kind of feel like you are too. So, but in case you
very, very sweet.
but
I feel like a failure. Yeah, I feel it too.
But by the time you listen to this, it's going to have been yesterday is Tequila Day. So now you missed it unless you celebrated. That's great.
Or last Wednesday.
Or whenever you did.
Wednesdays ago.
I was talking about the 4 listeners that are going to listen in the morning. So then they will know that yesterday.
Everyone else will be listening on the way to Thompson, and this will be like the 3rd, 5th episode. You know,
you missed.
Morning is a great time for tequila.
I don't think that's a thing. But okay,
no, it's totally a thing. It's a thing.
It's a thing for you, Jeff.
Tequila sunrise.
Like I don't know what you working on.
So I was also on the way to Pitt, and I had to get a set of tires mounted and drive my father's janky Miata onto the trailer and load up and finish mowing my lawn without getting stung by a bee. And I headed to Pittsburgh. I really didn't have a whole lot of things to do. A little bit of shopping here, a little bit of tire mounting. But my wife, the lovely and talented Jennifer, had probably the saving move of the weekend because she said she's like Roland. She's like always watching the weather. So she kept telling me how hot it's going to be at Pittsburgh and how hot it's going to be at Pittsburgh. And I'm just like, whatever. Whatever. We're sleeping in the trailer. We'll be fine. Whatever. Chris is buying an air conditioner. Whatever.
Oh man.
I did.
So
it showed up Friday at 8 at our house. So a lot of good that did.
So I think it was Tuesday. She said, I got you a hotel room. Deal with it. Just live. Tell Chris and Chrissy they can stay there too. Enjoy the air conditioning. And it was magic.
It was
so needed.
Glorious. It was so hot.
And we talk about how spoiled we are because we usually have RVs and stuff, but I would argue that a hotel room, magic. We're not nearly that spoiled. Just that we're still fascinated by the little things like a room that you give people money for and they put clean sheets on the bed. It's wonderful.
But it wasn't even that as much. It was just that it was really hot and really wet and just it was like 110% humidity and 108 degrees. So to be in a place where the air conditioning ran all day long and jump in the pool and have breakfast. Because we didn't have the RV, having the breakfast was actually really important too because it removed 2 whole meals on the weekend. So,
as I was getting ready in the morning, I was like, you know what? I'm a little cold. And I'm like, this is the only time today that I am going to feel this way because it was so hot. But it was awesome. Hotel was awesome.
So this is how unmotivated I was when I got home. That's the end of my work list. I haven't even put the trailer in the driveway. It's still sitting in the street. I haven't.
Hold on. I've been working on this. This is my shocked face.
Well, Monday I worked until like 10 o'clock at night, and then yesterday it rained like Noah's Ark, and then tonight I'm doing a podcast. So I didn't get any time.
I can't mock you too much because I haven't touched the Beamer, but yeah.
Yeah. So I was like,
but no one expects you to put anything away on Monday, Jeff. No one. Jen doesn't expect you to put anything away on.
Well, I left it on the street so I could fix the Mazda 3, and it just hasn't happened yet.
You haven't done that either.
Dang it! I just had to take the Corvette to work a couple of times.
Shucks.
It's terrible.
How do you deal? I don't know.
I deal fine. Next, Mental, what you working on?
Well, so I finally kind of started to get settled in my office, and I've been working on some stuff, and I can't tell you about any of it. So
hey, they found you a job. Congratulations.
You go to work now?
I do. That's why the show notes have been looking so good.
And those toilets have never been cleaner.
Let's be honest. Yeah, they have. But still, I mean, they're clean now-ish. I will say this because, we're back in a secure area in a vault. And Chrissy's going to get grossed out, but us 3 guys are going to know this. In workplace male restrooms, there's usually reading material in the toilet stalls. In fact, most of my squadrons, they even have like the magazine bins put in there. And somebody had 30-year-old issues of American Rifleman in there. And they were quite worn. Like everybody had gone through there and like actually read all the articles. And I know way too much now about the Springfield 1911 and some of the limited editions of it. So I did actually go in the bathroom and replace all of them with this year's issues of Grassroots Motorsports, Sports Car, and Panorama. Somebody's
going to be mad.
There's all
somebody's
going to
be like, I was halfway done that article.
Yeah, it hasn't happened yet. I think most people are like, oh, hey, this is a new magazine. All right, cool. I actually had to go get a flight physical this week, and this is my next to last. I get one more flight physical before I get to avoid the camera, the colonoscopy. So, that's coming. Yay. And
you'll feel great after you wake up.
Seriously.
I scammed some seats for some lemon stuff in November. And the VFR started giving me trouble, so I've got to order a new starter solenoid.
How are you getting anywhere then?
My
commute
is like Volvo. My commute's like 4. Actually, I loaned the Volvo out, and we'll talk about that. I forgot to put it in listener feedback.
What's left?
But I got the scooter, and then Vicky rented a car.
She rented a car?
You owned like 30 cars, and you had to rent. Like, I
Yes.
know my crap is janky and half my crap is broken. But there's always one that works to get me to work.
No.
Oh no, and I've got, honestly, yesterday I took the scooter. My commute to work is a half a mile.
But still, like,
Are you living on
sometimes
base or in the RV? Or both?
Yeah,
Both.
Yes.
Okay.
What?
All right.
So drive the
Get a
RV to
car.
work.
It's set up. You don't want to unset it up.
Yes.
And
Come
plus, my dogs and my wife are asleep at it, and I'm not leaving them in the parking lot because then it's not plugged in, and the air conditioning doesn't work.
I'll crack the windows
I
for
gotta
you.
I gotta go to work. Let me drive the house. And they're like, where the hell am I?
There's
Oh,
a
well.
Stephen Wright joke where he says, I came home really drunk one night, and I put my car keys in the house, and I turned it, and the house started up. So I drove it around. a little
So I
bit.
put it in the freeway and yelled at everyone to get out of my
Yeah,
driveway.
Exactly. Oh, anything
Uh,
else, Mr. Mental?
No, I feel like it's time for some news and notes.
News and notes brought to you by
Beep, 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 beep.
the smooth sounds of Jeff's vocal cords. Chrissy, tell us about NASA.
Like, where are you going with this? Okay, so I hit the most of our forums and all the places that we look, but NASA introduced a new endurance series called Team Racing Endurance Challenge. Trek, TREC. Lots of people go to their HPD, so many people get from there to go to the NASA racing, but that's just sprint racing. So they made their own, no barrier to entry and endurance racing, and also this is also a pathway to their comp license. So apparently, if you compete in 4 events, you get a license to participate in a better class. Says it starts in the latter half of 2019, more in 2020. I couldn't find a schedule, and then there's all kinds of commentary after that. Go ahead.
Yeah, apparently it's going to be by region if they want to participate, and then so they'll schedule it on their own. But I read all the rules, and it looks like a mashup of Lemons, Chump, and WRL. They're really trying to emphasize this is supposed to be fun, which is nice, at least thinking about it. Classes are by power to rate ratio with a cap at 10-1. Fueling, it's interesting how they're doing their fueling limitations. They're limiting it every time you come in for fueling. You can only use 2 5-gallon jugs at a time, and they even specify like which 5-gallon jugs are okay. Like Hunsaker's okay. The square ones we have that you can actually fit 6 in pretty well, not okay. Like they're
No, that we can fit 6
in the Hunsikers
you,
too.
you can put it
Hunsikers.
in the
I know, but this is what they have in there. Anyway, there's certain
Alright.
ones that are okay, certain ones that are not.
Interesting.
Well,
That's how they're
I think the
limiting-
Hunsuckers are see-through, and so you can tell.
They are.
You can
Yeah.
tell if it's overfilled. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's one way they're limiting fuel burn. Also, when you start, you're supposed to have no more than your stock fuel capacity in your fuel cell if you have one. Like they don't limit fuel cell size, but they say you can only have this much in it. I have no idea how we would possibly tell that because we don't have a gauge.
We
look
can't
down, we just
tell
look,
our
really.
own.
we look down the hole and say, yeah, it's got some. We don't know.
Nope.
Anyway, no contact allowed.
They expect you to run it.
Yeah, penalties for poor behavior, which is good. In the fastest class of the 4, they're going to have 4 classes. Yeah, Jeff.
I was going to say the penalties are kind of weird because there's basically go away, you're thrown out of the event is really the only penalty.
Well, they're going to park you, they're talk to you.
Yeah.
There's all those.
Park,
and
talk, you're gone. There's no fun penalties.
There was one. There was like we make you put the box of shame on your head and go apologize to
Oh!
the people that you have have wronged.
I didn't see that in the rules, so you must
Yeah,
have
it
read
was
more.
in the FAQ, I think.
Okay.
So anyway, who knows when they're going to actually do that? But at least they're thinking that they're trying to keep people from keep people's heads out of their asses a little bit, which is nice. The fastest class they have of the 4, you're not allowed to run it unless you have some sort of advanced license, whether it's a comp license, time trial license, or instructor license. Any of those 3 you can run in the fastest class.
Or there was like 10 events and signed off.
Yeah, 6. If you run 6
Okay.
races, then they'll sign you off. Then you have a NASA comp license just by running 6 races. So it's just another path.
It's actually
which is nice.
an interesting path to a NASA license that might take away from their actual ladder.
It potentially could. It's just another way. I think they want to get NASA really likes to get people somehow involved and moving along in their program. This is one way to do that and get people who wouldn't necessarily participate in NASA events otherwise to do it. So I think it seems like a nice gateway for people. There's one more. Hey, it's one more place to run, and
hell yeah,
it didn't have a ridiculous
that's a lot of people. A licensing school is a barrier to entry. They're like, I'm not spending $3,000 to go to a licensing school when for that I can run 4 weekends with renting a seat in whatever entry level series and have a great time doing it. And I'm going to get a lot more seat time.
Absolutely.
So I think it's an acknowledgement of the evolution.
Yeah. Well, they realize that, Lemons is bringing 150 cars out, 120. It's, other tracks, they're selling out. That's a lot of people on track, not with them. And NASA's been more about the business than like SCCA is, for example. So they're trying to find ways to have those butts in seats on their tracks. So,
yeah. And I like the idea of just multiple pathways instead of this great stonecutters, you must prove you're worthy to join our organization comp license model. Because, the SCCA is moving into that. And I think it's the right plan.
Well, and the SCCA already had their, whatever they called it, bracket
enduro, and that did about as well as a Mitsubishi Mirage going up a mountain. So.
Well, I mean, they just didn't have enough events. The events were like so few and far between that it became not a non-issue. They didn't try real hard. Built.
I'm saying with that endurance swing, but the SCCA is they've been introducing a lot of programs just to get people onto the track.
Sure.
Hey, just come try this. It's a really fun hobby.
Yeah. I mean, track night in America has been much more probably profitable or successful in getting people on the track than bracket enduro.
That and the new time trials, the thing they're doing too.
I haven't seen how popular that is.
Well, they're running a whole bunch of events.
They had a lot of cars at the championship last year at NCM, and I think they're pushing it hard this year too.
I think so.
Good.
Cool.
Good for them. Chrissy, you had a question in there?
Oh, I was just trying to think if it was going to take away from Lemon's AAR champ, all those. I mean, I guess especially depends on which tracks they go to. If they go to one of the tracks that we are local to and have not been to, we'll probably try anyway, right? Maybe. Go ahead, Michael.
I was genuinely reflecting on that because I think with all of the avenues of competition that are out there, you even got just track specific series. Like one track just has their crab can enduro racing or whatever.
Like Thompson.
So yeah. And Atlanta Motorsports Park had one for a little while. And you're seeing people that if they're not trying to chase a national effing championship, they're becoming just more regionalized. So as we cover the entry list, a lot of these races, we're seeing the same, Matt Conley Motorsports. He runs a couple of different series, and you're seeing that across the board. And they're like, why am I traveling all over the country when I can run 4 or 5 different series? And like Chrissy said, oh, hey, wait a minute. NASA's running this endurance series at VIR. I've never been to VIR. This sounds great.
Basically.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't think it's going to hurt those two markets. I think it's going to expand NASA's reach into those markets.
Maybe so.
I think we might choose to do something like NASA at the Glen instead of any of the CMP races, or maybe we just say something like that, like the travel races that are not the Northeast ones. We might not do one of those Lemons ones to do another one that's local, a different track, and try it out.
Well, and Chrissy, let me answer your question about will this take away from Lemon's AER champ or whatever. If a region gets hot in a weak region of one of those other ones, it could eat their lunch. Lemons is not going to get hurt. If they lose 10% of their car counts, that 10% will be replaced immediately with new people who have been on the waiting list. But if it got hot in
Richie
the East,
Rich, for example.
Yeah, but if it got hot in the East, AER could possibly lose some of their already small car counts. If it got hot in the West, I mean, what would Champ do with a second competitor?
Yeah, they already have like 14 cars on the track.
I mean,
so.
if 5 of 14 cars decided to leave the West Coast of Champ, they would be in trouble.
Sure. Yeah, good call.
I think who's going to win, though, is going to be a lot of these tracks, because now, these tracks can conceivably be booked every weekend with
I feel like
large car counts and a large groups of people that are paying, buying burgers at the grill, and they're buying sodas and they're buying gas and they're paying for RV parking.
The other thing is NASA has a lot of power with scheduling with the tracks.
Yep, I was going to say that.
A lot more than
push some people out.
A lot more than AER or some of the smaller series like that. NASA's going to say we want these dates. They come in early in the year, and they're probably going to get the dates they want because of how many they do. So
because they do 6 at Mid Ohio. If they want to add a 7th, what are you going to do? Keep AER or book another NASA date?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and then and that'll be an interesting power struggle because all the folks that normally run AER be like, well, I'm here. I've already got the car.
Yeah. All right. Hey, you know what? Any place there's more places for us to race our cars.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That's great.
Big bus theory. The more kids on the bus, the more fun we're having. Hey, speaking of fun, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee Season 6 was just released on Netflix. And the first episode, I watched about 5 episodes. If you haven't ever seen this and you're a car person, go see it like immediately. They're really funny. If you haven't seen it, everybody's seen it, right? At least one. But the first episode, you'll have to go check out Eddie Murphy in a Porsche Carrera GT. And the way that Jerry Seinfeld describes the Porsche Carrera GT, I'm pretty sure he loves that car more than his wife and kids. But you'll just have to go see. Excellent show. I suggest it. Go to Netflix.
Jerry's always been a Porsche guy, notoriously so. So more kind of bad news, good news. So the GRM experience at Rolex 24 sold out. And wait a minute, you're thinking, I didn't even get a chance to buy my tickets to the GRM experience at 24. No, you didn't. Because everyone who bought the tickets last year was given the opportunity to buy them early, and every single one of them took that opportunity.
Whoa.
So that does say something. If you ever do, and I did get to do this about 12 years ago, and it's worth every penny. If you get a chance to do that, jump on it. But the GRM front stretch seating package is still available. So for $99, you get full track and paddock access, all the GRM big top, which is back there by the lake, all their tours, which are actually really cool, especially like at 3 a.m, and you get stadium seating and a catered breakfast Sunday morning in the stadium suite. So you can get a hold of those, the links on our show notes, or call 1-800-PIT-STOP.
Pit Shop. S-H-O-P.
Pit Shop. Sorry. I sat there and looked at it and still said stop. It's a
number.
Freudian thing.
1-800-PIT-SHOP.
Freaking mental, man. I can't get my ticket.
Mental. But just go to the link on our show notes.
Yeah, it's a better way to do it anyway.
Cool.
Okay.
So we talked about it last week. The C8 is out. The Corvette, it is $60,000. It is 0 to 60 in a time that starts with a 3.
And 2. They said under 3.
Yeah. Under 3. Wow. Testing will show, but it looks pretty sexy, I think. Everybody saw it. The debut was in a blimp, whatever the heck that thing is, a blimp hangar. What's everybody think?
I like it. Overall, I'm pleasantly surprised by the price and the performance. Really, it is a phenomenal value by the sounds of it. Looks okay. JG from GRM, I think, had it right. He wrote that it said the front 3/4 is fire, F-I-R-E. The rear 3/4 is fire, F-Y-R-E. It definitely needs the side scoops to be body color. Right now they have like the gray, black trim around them.
Yes.
That looks dumb.
Yeah.
Body color side scoops.
Well, and it's going to evolve. The first one is they've really only released the base model at this point, but there's going to be track models. There's going to be high zoot models. There's going to be the holy frick Godzilla model.
It's going to be the Z51, the Z06, the ZR1, the Grand Sport, etc.
And they're all going to have a little bit differences in the body panels or side skirts or things like that. So.
Yeah.
And now the interesting deal, it is going to be the sub $60,000 car, but like everyone is saying, that's not the one you're going to want, like at all. And I remember when I was first started working with Extreme Experience, they got one of the first C7s, and they got the first one they could put their hands to, and it was basically the rental car spec, the quote unquote baseline Corvette. If I had to drive across country, you'd be hard pressed to find a better, more comfortable, more capable car. But on a track, the brakes were overwhelmed very quickly. The suspension was too soft. There was a lot to do, but you could also just buy that kit and bolt it on. So it is
It is an interesting car, and I'm not so much fascinated by the car as the uproar of all the people going, I'm not going to call it a Corvette.
It's got a engine in the middle.
What are you going to call it? A Pinto? I mean, just, this kind of, it's like, I don't believe in that. I was like saying you don't believe in gravity. It's still there. Doesn't matter what you think. I'm not going to call it a Corvette. Oh, well, it's still a Corvette, so deal.
The guys with Hawaiian shirts, New Balances, and gold chains are going to have to find something else to drive.
No, they're still going to buy it. They're just complaining about it.
They're going to complain. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I can't fit my golf clubs in here.
Yes, you can, apparently.
Yeah, the Photoshop that was going around, somebody Photoshopped it on the original C4 saw blade wheels.
Yes, I saw that.
It looked awesome. But then they started getting really fun with it, and they Photoshopped it on the Renault teddy bears. And that actually looked pretty funny, too.
20-inch teddy bears. Go for it.
That'd be
Absolutely.
Awesome. Wait for it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, are we done?
Yeah.
Done with Corvettes. Okay, we're going to talk. Let's talk some race results. Our rally correspondent, Santiago Iglesias, got us some results from the New England Forest Rally this weekend. 71 cars. That seems like a pretty good turnout.
Yeah.
38 Subarus,
Boring.
12 Fords, 7 BMWs, 4 Hondas, and 5 others. I like others. 24 did not finish.
Wow.
Actually, that's not so bad. Usually
No?
they look about half.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's less than half. Cool. So Higgins Drew Subaru Rally Team USA took overall. Limited four-wheel drive was Gil Smith in their STI 08 Boring. NA four-wheel drive was Pitkowski and Manatopoulos.
That's the keyboard smashing team.
Yeah, I got no idea who that is.
Yeah.
Too many vowels.
But they had a 99 Impreza.
The Polish guy and the Greek guy.
They had a 99 Impreza 2.5 RS, and it's the only thing you can do in motorsports with a 2.5 RS, and the Jihad won't get mad because that's what they're designed for. Open two-wheel drive went to Potts James in a supercharged BRZ, and limited two-wheel drive went to Erickson and Good of Weird Beard Rally. Hold on to your britches. In an 04 Lancer Rally Art.
So 4GT finished.
No T.
Oh, yeah, no T. Now, there's the key. All right, on that one. So, now, Santiago also sent us an article from Aaron Brown of Jalopnik fame, who documented transforming his E36 M3 into a rally car. Not boring, because slides, and then unfortunately crashed it. But it's a great read. We have the article that he crashed his BMW M3 rally car, but he is embodying both our values here at Everyone Racers of driving it hard and building yourself, and the rally values of, progress anyway.
Press on regardless, baby.
Press on regardless.
Crash, fix, build, crash, fix, build, crash, fix.
So apparently this whole thing was a mad thrash, and he barely made the tech inspection. And the guy that did the tech inspection was also the guy that gave him his logbook and said, I gave you your logbook and thought, no way you're going to make this rally. And he did. So props to him. That article is linked in our show notes. Definitely worth a read.
I'm definitely going to check that out. I hadn't seen it until now.
And this weekend is Rally Colorado out of Rangerly. Santiago says, roads look amazing. Expect the local knowledge of the Brown brothers and their Subaru to be flat out challenging for the win. More so, if you want to hear about your team and results, drop us a line. We'll talk about teams we know, names that make us chuckle. So if you're funny, or we know you, or is anything worth talking about, tell us about it. We miss most events, really. So if there's anything you guys want us to hear, tell us. Yeah.
We'll cover what you care about.
Yeah. Because we cover a lot of crap, and we don't know that we care about it, or if you care about it. So it'd be great to know what people like to hear about. Okay, so we haven't talked much about XX Speed. We've kind of deleted them from our notes lately. So this weekend they're headed to both Canada and their home track, Audubon Country Club, just outside of Chicago. Next month, they're going to be at Putnam Park in Indianapolis and Pikes Peak in Colorado. What? In September, they're going to be at Utah Motorsports Campus, Michigan International Speedway, and just outside of Omaha, Nebraska at Raceway Park in the Midlands. Choose your car. Like the new Corvette eventually, right? I'm sure they're probably trying to get
they're on a waiting list. Absolutely.
I'm sure they are. Choose your track and choose your date. Just remember to use the code EveryoneRacers, one word. Get your 25% off Extreme Experience. It's your turn.
Now, Lemons is... Go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say, they're not going to have to wait that long. If there's one thing General Motors knows how to do, it's build a crap ton of cars. This ain't going to be like the Ford RSs where each dealership gets one and they're going to jack the prices through the moon.
That's already happened. There was on the Twitter sphere, there was a screen capture of we are accepting reservations. Price will be $30,000 above MSRP for one of the first C8s we have.
Sure, but every Chevy dealership in the tri-state area is going to have 10 of them.
Yeah.
And you get the places that have big volume Corvettes, like Kerbeck? What's the place called?
Kerbeck in Jersey, yeah.
Right. So they're going to, the first couple are going to be higher, but give it 6 months and they're going to be knocking $8,000 off like everything else. It's still a Chevy.
It is. All right. So on that note, though, Lemons is at a favorite of the podcast, The Ridge, this weekend. Host number 5 gotten us to hook up. And from what he sees, it's going to be great. He even said, and I quote, Jesus, this field is good. 52 cars, 4 BMWs.
Boring.
1 Miata, 2 Hondas, 2 P cars, and...
Otis.
Chodus.
So the good ones, Hella Shitty's got their BMW, but they are always fast and they are a good time. Our pals at Silver Sleeves Racing making a strong run at Class C in their Mazda V6 powered Austin Land Crab. Those are words I bet you thought you would never hear in your life.
When did they put a Mazda V6 in that thing?
Years ago. That's what they've always been running.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I had no idea.
They just have other problems.
It's all Ford Probe running gear. Because, that's what I would have picked immediately. Whatever.
Whatevs.
I can't believe they didn't win. I thought they won before. Oh, maybe their other mini won.
And also their MG 1100. And as Eric says, and this is absolutely true, quote, they race terrible British cars. Yep.
Don't forget, they're going to have to put it on a boat to get it to the race.
Yeah,
that's true.
Absolutely.
Always do, though.
And they have a terrible janky RV, too. Rogue Squadron's got a 92 Sentra that hasn't run in 5 years, but Eric says it won a race in 2010. That was a long time ago.
Wow, a Sentra that wins a race.
The Model T GT is going to be there again, and Eric said impressive list. Onset Tetanus Anton's going to be there, and the 544 with the GM V6 that only Anton knows how to make out of minivan parts. That's stupid fast, etc. So. Lots of good stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think Eric sent us a great list here. He kind of grouped some together. So number 261, number 271, and number 671, which is all one team, the IWGT Racing, have their Probe and their MX6 to Barber. They took it to Barber last year. They both broke. So they got a boring E36. So I don't know what's going on there. Maple Bacon is there in their 87 Chevy Caprice. And Eric says this might be the worst running Lemons car ever.
Those are strong words.
Exactly.
With a lot of experience. And he's owned a lot of terrible cars.
So 22, 27, and 28. Terrible American cars. I can't believe this first one. A 74 Mustang II. A 76 Pontiac Sunbird. And an AMC Spirit.
Now that's what a Lemons grid should be right there. That's excellent.
I don't know what's worse, the Sunbird or the Mustang 2. The AMC Spirit is cool, and I don't care.
I don't even think my list is that funny. Like my team names are funny. My cars are not, though. Because Jeff's list of cars was pretty good. So I have the I Want to Rock in, of course, an 89 Camaro. I know why it's funny. Thanks. Measurably mediocre motorsports in a Mini, according to Eric, didn't have a tow rig last I knew, and they live in San Francisco. That's quite the long drive. Zora Dumkov Racing in their 76 Corvette. Eric says, "What is this funny?
Name.
Is it? What does that mean?"
Well, Zora is the guy who was the father of the Corvette. Zora Arkus Duntov is that, and Dummkopf is German for dumbhead. Basically means stupid.
Yeah, I got
it. It's a Corvette with a BMW motor. So
right, yes. Yeah. So 76 Corvette. Eric says it has a BMW M50 in it. Boring disco vet.
Not boring.
No,
that's good.
No, that's good.
So it'll be be fun to see what they do. And then not funny, but we're cheering for them. The 999 Crab Cam mixed tape date whatever club in their Corrado. Yay, Corrado.
Yeah, just a couple more things from Eric about this race is the number 0 Corona is supposed to have a super engine in it. Well, yeah. So does the 3 p.m. Corona.
Cressida? You mean?
Cressida. Sorry, Cressida.
No, it's not a 1JZ though.
No, it's a 5M.
5MG.
Oh,
5M GTE. No shit.
What a great joke that I completely screwed up. I apologize.
Okay.
Check your bingo cards for mental screw something up. It's on
we don't
have
a Corona. Our Toyota doesn't have a 1JZ. I don't know what's going on here. I'm like,
sorry.
Anyway.
Mental got a desk job, and now he's just like writing jokes and stuff.
So we did actually have some listener feedback, a little bit more comments after last week's episode from the What You Working On episode of Facebook or post on Facebook. And Chris Egan was getting ready to swap his 200K mile spare motor into his Saab so he could take his time going through the original 260K mile motor. Basically, he's getting ready for Thompson.
Awesome. Matt F is also just moved into his glorious house,
which
I need to hit up.
Jealous.
But that's not what he was working on. He was getting ready to store his T-Bird chassis number 6. Yes, I know I have a problem, but I only have 4 of them, and one's going to the boneyard. Yes, we know he has a problem.
So Florida Man Donnie has a problem with me, and he's constantly calling me out because I refuse to pronounce his name right just to prove I can say it. Petruniak. How is that? I'm looking at everyone's like, I don't know.
We'll see how your face looks like next week.
So he threatened to take my face off. I said that's fine.
He's far away though.
Yeah, he is. And all I know is, and it ends with AK, as in I didn't have to use my AK. So in response to our last episode about acceleration, Randy K pointed out acceleration is, quote, the reason they call it motorsports.
Wise words.
Sure.
Eric K also commented on that, saying force equals mass and acceleration, so half the mass, same motor, double the acceleration, assuming traction, etc.
And then it became like a nerd fight, and all the engineers piled in on why his math was wrong.
And really, Mental just posted a picture, probably the second one he saw, just so we could get more hits.
Pretty much. Now, our rally correspondent did tag us in the Blip Shift Facebook post of when they released the shirt last week. It was just a picture of a car snapped in half, and it just said Samir. Samir, you're breaking the car.
You must concentrate.
For the love of God, Samir.
One of the other instructors at NASA was named Samir, and every time he would talk, I was like, "Oh man, you're breaking the car."
Did you tell him that?
No, because I'm sure he's heard that joke from way too many people. I'm not going to be that idiot.
I beg of you, please.
Samir, slow down, Samir. Slow down.
Please listen to me.
Most people know what we're talking about. My family does not know what we're talking about. Just look up if you YouTube a video. There's a YouTube video. Look it up. It's called. Just type in Samir. You're making the car, and you'll see all of the video. It's a funny video. Okay. Anyway, so the cross-headed racing team gave us a friendly PSA on the IG photo to point out that the importance of checking the bottom of your hood pins.
I missed that. What happened? What was the picture? What was the bottom?
So it was a picture of a warped hood on their rockin' F-body Camaro.
Oh,
so they said just a friendly PSA that also check the bottoms of your hood.
Gotta have that bolt on the bottom.
If you slide the tops of them in, you're only halfway there if you haven't correctly bolted them in.
Good call.
So a listener who was listening to a lot of episodes on the way back and forth from Pittsburgh said, his name is Jeff W. He said, the background noise behind Mental as he goes into the bars is really loud, and all that background noise from the parakeets and everything else that lives in Vegas. When is Mental going to get home?
It's not even, it's not like it gets cold here,
Yeah, I'm actually not complaining. I was just surprised at the fidelity of when you're listening to it in your car versus as I'm listening to it live.
And I think it's because for the first time in a very, very long time, you have a good stereo.
I do.
In the Lori.
Yeah, Lori's got a good stereo.
Yeah, previous to that, no.
Okay.
Whatever. So Krager's emailed me about the accelerating episode and said, quote, accelerating is optional, braking is mandatory. Wise words. He says they're also working, terminally confused, on replacing the bent axles from Curtis's overloaded trailer. He got himself a 24-foot trailer with 7,000-pound total capacity axles, the twin 3500s. And by the time you have the whole 24-foot trailer with the air conditioning and then the Del Sol and the tools and the four-wheeler and 3 big green eggs, guess what? It's overloaded. So the axles are bent. They kept blowing tires. So they are now putting those in. He said actually the trailer was designed to even fit the whatever the step up from the 5,000-pound axles is with the 16-inch tires. It's there. It's all there. The spacing's there. It'll fit them all. They just cheaped out on the axles when he bought it. So anyway, top tip, always get at least the 5,000-pound axles unless you have a small aluminum trailer. So he also then provided a link for Jeff about auto darkening welding goggles.
Yeah, I saw this thing. It looked pretty cool. I was kind of excited by it. It was like a hockey mask looking.
Yeah. It's a goggle with like a face shield too, but they're auto darkening little like
really cool.
swim goggles basically, so you can get your head in places. Yeah, mental.
I don't know what it cost, but it was more than I paid for my.
It's
$200. It's about $200.
Okay, a little less than
and this just happened today on the subject of interesting welding equipment that I didn't know existed. You can now, for those of us who are optically challenged, hold on, let me put glasses on. They make welding helmets with a 1.5 magnifier on them, so you can now get reading welding helmets.
Oh yeah, I've heard people suggest you just do that, especially with TIG welding, so that you can really see it much better and get nice and close and get a good idea of it. So
it's not a bad idea.
Yeah. And you know who never needs readers for welding? Chrissy's mom.
She probably does.
Well, for welding, she usually doesn't. You know, she can just do it anyway. She's that good.
Sure. Yep.
She is. She just kind of looks at it and smiles, and metal fuses.
MIG welding is kind of like piping icing onto a cupcake.
She might actually be pretty good at
it, right? It's kind of the same motions. It's kind of you got a puddle. You're moving the puddle. You don't want too much. You don't want too little. It's kind of like that.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
I'll take it.
Third topic time. Do you want me to do the intro? And then you can take over for the interviewing mental?
Sounds wonderful.
So 3 out of 4 of us.
Run, Chris, run.
Yes. Chris is going to get more wine and gummy bears. So 3 out of 4 of us went to a track weekend. We already described that a bit. And we had a great NASA weekend. And since Mental didn't go, he's going to interview us and ask us all kinds of questions about it.
Incidentally, Wine and Gummy Bears is the name of my new hardcore gangster rap album.
Hell yeah!
It's going to drop in the fall. But did you
hear their number 1 track? Whoa, Black Betty, Rambutan. Black Betty's got a fruit, Rambutan. It's really goofy, Rambutan. Kind of juicy, Rambutan. Black Betty had a fruit.
And Chrissy's like, if I don't look at the computer, he'll stop.
I'm distracted. I apologize.
So obviously, if you're going to go to an HPDE, you do need certain pieces of equipment. The first one being a car. So Jeff, how'd the cars work out?
All right.
How'd your car work out?
The mighty 116 horsepower NA Miata.
It used to have 116 horsepower.
I'm not sure it's got 116.
I'm sure it does not have that right now.
I don't think it's got 100.
The 95 horsepower Mazda Miata NA.
Probably closer.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't remember, it's an NA. It's early. It's my father's. He autocrosses it. I built it for him. AGX shocks, iBox spring, Pro Kit springs. I didn't buy any of the right parts. I just kind of threw crap together on it. It handles great. It is the most perfectly handling. I can't imagine what it would be if I actually bought the good shocks for it. But we discovered the weakness in the, 1990 to 2000, 2010, 2090. In the 29-year life of the car is the motor might be getting a little weak. It's did a lot of overheating this weekend. 20-minute sessions, 40 minutes, 20-minute sessions were creeping that temperature all the way up, and I had to come in once because I pegged it. It didn't boil over. It's just the stock gauge got to like 85-90%, and I decided that it's better to run away and fight another day than. So I pulled in.
Who knows how much crud is in that radiator after.
Yeah,
I mean, certainly you've never opened it. So
no.
Right, exactly. So
no,
and whoever
I'm
owned
sure
it before you, who let it sink into the mud, they didn't change it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Don't forget when the ceiling fell on it, when the pipes burst over it, and cascaded it with ice.
And
maintenance is not your or your father's thing, so it's not
even what it is, not on that car. Nope.
I paid $200 for that car. It doesn't owe me a single thing. I put 10 times that into the rebuild last year. So I need a radiator. I'll get one.
Mm-hmm. Do a coolant reroute while
maybe,
you're at it.
Except you have about 3 cars that are down in your driveway.
Coolant reroute is definitely going to happen also.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Someday.
Cool. Huh.
But it did perform flawlessly, except for the 2 laps I had to pull in early. It was a work of art.
I don't know if I'd go that far. It was pretty great because I drove it once, but
well, I could be like a 5th grade work of art.
Oh, bingo! I wasn't even looking tonight.
Someone has crappy internet because Mental goes choppy sometimes. RV because Mental's living in an RV. Jeff's music doesn't work because when you started, it took a little while for you to get it going. Fine. Hi to Chrissy's mom. Yep.
Fine.
And professional racing because we were talking about GRM, Rolex, Daytona.
Wow.
So there we go.
Wow.
That's actually one of the more obscure bingos we ever had.
That is. Professional racing does not come up all the time.
No, good job.
Anyway, sorry.
Why are you apologizing for bingo?
Interrupting.
Yay.
Oh, fair enough. But that works out really well, though, because we do know that despite everybody, and we can't just lay this on Jeff, despite everyone who's touched that car, despite their best efforts, it is still an anvil. But the car that I want to know how it worked out this weekend was tell me about Gajora.
Sure. Everything was good. The Miata has been, actually, I got to say about the Miata, everyone treats that like a rented red-headed mule. Like,
yes.
At a family reunion.
Right. And it's the town bicycle, and it just keeps coming back for more. And it's usually been fine with it. And it's just running a little hot now. So
it was like hotter than halfway up a snake's ass in a wagon rut this weekend. Let's not forget that.
Yes.
And
that needs to go on our bingo.
Yeah. And even with being that hot, all the stuff I did for the Honda, it never got above like 195. Even running 10/10 in traffic, stayed cool. All the air was coming in, actually ducting through the radiator really well. The radiator worked great.
It got hotter than that.
Well, when it was running. The fan is too small. I got this little tiny 12-inch fan on it. So if you come in without doing half a cool down lap, it'll spike up a little bit, then come right back down. Just because the fan is tiny. So I have a new fan coming, and that'll solve that problem. But cooling issues, I'm going to say, are basically solved right now. That was one issue. Axles, the new axles worked great. No issues there. The changes in suspension made the car from dicey at times to only a little bit of a handful.
I didn't think it was a handful at all. I thought it was great.
Well, the steering kind of pulls around your hands a little bit. Like you can't drive it with one hand at all. Like you have to have 2 hands solidly on the wheel at all times. But aside from that,
I was probably only at like 8.5 tenths, while you were at like 9.9 tenths.
Wait, but you only drove it during the warm up, right?
Yeah,
and
I was driving it hard.
Yeah,
but there were like 50 people on track then.
I was passing them like.
Okay.
Yeah. The reverse lockout that we put in was a great success.
Best thing ever.
Completely agree. Best thing ever.
So that was good. New windshield is lovely and clear to see out of, which is great. And we are, Chris Egan, going to put on one of those defroster grid kits on it to actually be able to see.
Especially now that we have a windshield that's staying.
I didn't want to put it on while I had a broken windshield that I needed to replace anyway. So now with a new windshield, it's getting the defroster kit. That's why I actually left the wiring in the car from the rear defroster, so I have should be adequate power supply to take care of that. So Civic, it's fast. I was running with C5 Corvettes and then passing them at times.
It's also a NASA weekend, so everybody's not driving 8/10 to 9/10 like you are.
Running lap after lap with a fairly stock C5 Corvette, though, even down the straights, he's not running away. So, good time.
Well,
if you've never raced Pitt Race, they've got 2 pretty fast straightaways.
Yep.
Just to show you how hard I was working my Miata, I got to like 102 on the back straight. That was all the beans.
I think.
What do you think you were getting, Chris?
Probably 120.
Yeah.
Maybe
I don't have a speedo. So
I was deep into 6. I was into 6, but not enough to get the light to come on. I think the light comes on at like 124 or something along those lines. So probably around 120.
Yeah.
It's still pretty quick for an
I was amazed
89 Civic hatchback.
Yeah, I was amazed I got to triple digits in the mighty Miata. So.
All right. I have all this stuff written, but you already just gave an update, so I don't know if I really need to say it.
Yeah, actually, no, you do. Because,
okay.
And this is the thing is you are by far the greatest student among us. And I think definitely people want to hear your perspective.
Okay, fine. I thought the car was awesome. I did use Saturday as a progression. We had a warm up to start, and then I stared at the gauges way too much because I was scared that things were going to happen. And are these things normal? And I wish I had a radio so I could be like, it's up to this. Is this okay? But it was fine. So we got used to some vibration, which we think were.
He's teaching you to deal with your fears. Just drive the car.
I mean, sure, but yeah. So we. I think we had some vibration that was deemed the tires. So I was still a little bit concerned about that, just making sure that it wasn't axle and all that stuff. By the end of the day, we knew what to expect. Chris and I had conferred on what the acceptable temperatures and where everything should be, make sure everything wasn't doing anything weird. And we got used to it, and it was awesome, as Chris said. Go ahead.
It does need a couple of things, though. It needs... I need to adjust bend the gas pedal to heel and toe. I bent it before because I didn't think we were getting full throttle. Turns out we were, so now I got to bend it back because right now you can't really heel and toe. Right, they're the wrong height, so I got to fix that. I also want to take a little more camber out of the front. I took some out. I need to take more out. I dug around on the internet and I found Andy Hollis's one lap CRX suspension alignment settings. And he basically has almost identical setup to what we have, like same size wheels and tires, similar spring settings, close enough. So I want to find his alignment because that man knows how to set a car up. If it worked for him to do top 10 in one lap in a CRX, then I'm going to try that. So there's that. I also found our brakes, I think, are getting really, really hot. These are Integra brakes. They're 10.3-inch rotors. They're not even the normal Civic brakes, which are like 9.5-inch rotors. So, but they're getting really hot. So, fortunately, it's a Honda. Everyone's figured this all out before. You just take Integra Type R calipers, which are actually same as an Accord wagon or an Accord V6, and so they're like $30 on Rock Auto, and those bolt right up to the spindles. And then you can use rotors from a 2007 Mini Cooper that are 11 inches and actually are exactly the right size to get an 11-inch rotor to fit right in the Integra Type R caliper on a regular Integra spindle.
Without machining the center board.
A damn thing. Nope, they just go right on. So we're doing that.
Well, I'm going to agree with you on the brakes.
Which pads should we have on there?
ST43s. Actually, I just ordered those yesterday.
Bingo. Yeah,
bingo!
I ordered them yesterday.
Really. I completely agree with you on the brakes. Not that I got them that hot, but I could see how they would because the thing is a freaking monster on the speed side. I think it's highly possible that you could fly a little too close to the sun with your settings. I don't think it's a problem right now, and I suggest that you conservatively change one thing at a time in the suspension.
Yep. I will.
But you're not going to listen to me. You're just going to do it all.
All I'm going to change is the camber in the front. That's the only thing it needs to change now.
The camber that you already changed made a drastic difference.
Seriously.
Right.
So it's totally
I'm going to take a little bit more of it out, and everything else was good. I was happy with the toe settings. I was happy with the height. I was happy with the geometry. Now it's better, so just a little bit more. Anyway, last thing on cars, I got to drive the 2017 Toyota 86 TRD that Bill brought. So I took him out for a session in it because Bill's a visual learner. I thought he could benefit from seeing what the car can do, seeing where it should be, and how it's supposed to feel. And it actually worked out great. He definitely advanced a bit after doing that. So I had fun with the thing. It was very easy to drive. He was running some all-season performance tires. It was some Hankook Ventuses in the front and some Continental Extreme Contact DWSs in the back. So they were a little, yeah, but I mean, these were not performance tires, but they were great to learn on because you could get some slip angle into them, and some cars the edge of handling is like a knife edge, like you're barely on it. This is like a good solid tabletop. You can get up on it, you could stand there, you can dance around, and you're still just at the edge, and you're fine. It's okay. The power was decent. There's definitely that torque dip in the middle. I've heard about it. Like you're at 4,500 RPM and you're standing on it. It's not going anywhere. Like, come on. And eventually it kind of picks up and goes. It was nicely balanced. Like you could get the back to come out a little bit, but then catch it right back. It was easy to get it to understeer, so it was pretty neutral, which was nice. Steering had good feedback. Brakes were a little small. I definitely cooked the stock pads in 4 laps. To the point where coming into 16, I said, pads are gone. Hang on. This is going to be exciting. But managed to haul it down enough that we could just barely make the turn without putting any wheels off, which was good. And then the pads cooled right back off and we're fine. Shifter was precise and easy.
I'm going to wreck Bill's child's car. Okay.
Yeah.
Pump
no, there's
brakes,
a lot of runoff
brakes,
from there.
brakes.
It's fine. Yeah. I know I was telling him as I was into the communicator as we were going. I was like, well, brakes are gone, so hang on.
So. Well, and it wasn't a perfectly prepped car for the track weekend.
It's completely stock. These are the stock brake pads that it came with when it was new 28,000 miles ago. Yeah,
it didn't even get performance brake pads or flush the fluid or anything like that. So basically everything that we said, like, do this before you take your car to a track day, he did nothing.
No, he cleaned the stuff out of it, which is nice.
But he wanted... And by he, I mean his son.
Oh, and then he did additionally when he got there. But he did the right thing. He brought the slowest car on the mushiest tires that he had because that's the best way to learn. Really. So, and the car was easy to drive. It communicated with you well. I was pleased with it. I thought it'd be fun if you put a tune to get rid of that torque dip and some meaty tires under it and some decent brakes. It'd be more fun. So, yeah.
There were a decent amount of them last year. There were only a handful this year.
There were several, including one that crashed, one that's now...
Yes, crashed hard.
Yeah. Oh, well. But no, in general, I was pretty pleased with it. I've never driven one of those, let alone in anger. And this one, I drove it all of the way and had fun with it. It was fun.
I love the way they look. I could see myself dailying one someday.
Cool. All right, so anyway, that's it. Sorry, taking too long.
Oh, it's all good. So to that end, though, obviously the whole point of HPDE is quote unquote education. So what'd you guys learn? What'd you get better at?
So I decided to focus on a few corners. I was really struggling. So hopefully if you've been to Pitt Race and you know what I'm talking about, turn 4 and 5. So you go down the straight, brake, turn in 3, and then you're going down a big hill. And so down the hill, I was braking too much. And then I have this mental block or something that I was hesitating on the gas to get up the hill. And then you'd be kind of dead in the water, even though VTEC would kick in eventually. So I was working on that to try to get better at that. And with when I had instructors, which we'll talk about, they were trying to give me some new pointers on how to fix that. And also in 17 to 19, which is the end of the back straight, and then you would go and brake there. And then I found, this is a problem that I was having before, that I wasn't unwinding and using the whole track. So I was kind of cutting off, scrubbing off speed, but also just making a, weird angle and kind of hugging that corner too tightly. And so I had been working on those two corners to try to get better at that. And I think things were going well, but I, as we'll learn later, we missed out on our last couple of sessions, so we didn't get to solidify those things. So I also have a new technique that I found when I was going into turn 3. I was turning 1 second too fast. And so I would make the left-hand turn, and then there's a pretty quick right-hand turn, but I was cutting it off and not basically my instructor late in the day had said that I should do this thing. And so now it is the wait and go. So that is what you're supposed to do. Just take 1 extra second before turning, and then it'll set you better up for that corner. So that's my new technique, like modulating the gas song, wait and go. That's our new thing.
Was that
incidentally?
Joey?
That's how I go through 10A and 10B at Road Atlanta.
Is it? Wait.
Yeah.
And
go. What I do is I say, okay, turn, breathe, turn.
Yep. Yes. And so I had just been shooting down, just making that corner, and it would set you up a better line if I had to wait and go. So that's my new thing. That was Nora actually late the second session on Sunday. She had suggested that I had been doing that, and it would set me up better on those lines. And I think this is also applicable in the corner right after the bowl in Thompson. I apologize. I don't remember what corner that is. 7, I think, or 8.
The one that goes under the.
No.
I know 200. After you come off the oval.
You
go over the little bump coming off the oval. You have to take that left and then wait and then go right.
And then that's that right. So I think that for anybody that's going to Thompson, I think this could be a wait and go corner. But that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to talk about, was just making sure that you are waiting before you take that turn. Mm-hmm. Jeff, what did you learn?
So I definitely probably most improved my lines. Last year I struggled all weekend to be patient, and I would just early apexed like everything at the start of the weekend, and I only got to really work on one thing because I did it so terribly. So this weekend I started, and I had to play the little patience, do the same thing, wait, now turn. But I wasn't the serial early apexer this time. So I was able to really start working on linking things. And the second instructor that I had, I guess early Sunday, told me that my lines were, quote, tidy, which I thought was a great way to describe. I was very impressed by that. He said, "Ooh, your lines are
told
tidy."
You were tidy before.
I know, exactly, right?
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting way to
describe it. Yeah. He was a spec Miata, NASA Miata, I don't know what he did, race, time trial, whatever he did. He has a 1.6 NA. So he got to tell me some real Miata specific things, which I thought was really cool, and some like Pittsburgh specific things with the Miata. So he kind of like changed my shifting theory, and basically coming down to 5, and then you basically come down a hill, and then you make a hard turn, and then you go up a hill, for those of you who've never been to Pittsburgh. And I was concentrating on slowing down enough to climb the hill. And he basically said, this is a Miata. Those things are like 15 feet apart. Consider it 2 parts of the track. So go down and turn as hard as you can in 3. And then as you climb the hill and it bogs your motor, then go down to 2. Like I was trying to link too much. And I actually was doing that a lot of times because in a higher horsepower, faster car, you need to link more things together. And they basically were saying, if there's a moment of breath in between them in a Miata, that's like 2 separate track sections. So you can really do what's right the first time. and not really worry about setting up the second one because you're going to have a millennium in between them. So that was really cool. And it may take shifting twice, but it's better than unbalancing the chassis and braking too much to get down to the speed that I needed to be. That was later in the turn. So I thought that was kind of cool. It was an interesting theory. Like, it literally was a theory that he applied it a couple of different places, and it made me faster.
All right.
That's awesome.
I learned ankle toe shifting. It's like heel and toe, but that was fun.
Because your pedals aren't right.
Yeah, and Mental's mic is still on mute.
Oh, sorry. Was that how you were you grabbing the gas with your ankle?
Yeah, I was gonna roll in my just gotta jam in my general lower leg at the gas and see if I could get anything out of it. And yeah,
if
works
it's
sometimes.
Stupid and it works, then it isn't stupid.
Yeah, that's something I want to do for a couple hours at a time, but I gotta fix that gas
This
pedal.
is a dumb question, but what shoes were you wearing?
My Puma Speed
Pumas.
Cats.
Okay, so like driving shoes. All right.
I
So-
had Pilates. Because
I think I need to get Pilates.
You don't need Pilates.
You go to
Okay.
Pilates every Tuesday.
I do. It's a wonderful workout. I really like it.
Spelled
Nope.
differently.
So, but I mean, Jeff posted up the video if it was raining. We got that on the Instagram and all this other kind of stuff. But what, and you guys have raved about Great Lakes, and not just you. Multiple people talked about Great Lakes. Hashtag they should totally sponsor us. Great Lakes really runs a world-class event. What do you guys think could have been better?
It would have been nice if it weren't hotter than halfway up a snake's ass in a wagon rut. It was really hot.
It was really hot.
And there a number of people in the groups that were not ours crashed. Like a lot of
I was
early Saturday.
Yeah.
A lot of
And,
people crashed.
Really fancy cars.
Yeah. And that
It was still wet then, so maybe it was
Still.
if people hit
it
the
was
grass.
it was in warm-ups and like test time and like qualifying and stuff. Like, you don't need to be doing that, and it just delays everybody when you crash. So stop crashing, people.
There are
That's
no
all.
trophies in HPDE.
True. Yep. So
Which brings me back to my HPDE rant. What are people doing in HPDEs 1, 2, and into 3 on Hooisers? Why?
Yes.
You are not learning anything driving on Hooisers, and it's costing you $1 million.
I'm going to talk about this in my section.
Okay.
Anyway, that's just a rant. I'm over
yes.
it. Chrissy, what do you think?
The heat, that was really hot. I mean, it is July in Pittsburgh, so I'm not really surprised. But the lack of AC, especially since we were all pumped because we were supposed to have an AC unit that didn't show up on time. And so then so that could have made the event better, because then we wouldn't have been just trying to figure out where to sit that had a little bit of air that wasn't so hot. Yes.
And if you've never been to Pitt Race, there is no shade.
No, we had a trail. We sat in the trailer a lot, and then between the trailer with the box fan and the
Success tent.
Jeff brought a fantastically beautiful new Success tent.
Hang on.
So
let's. I don't know if everyone knows what a Success tent is. That's kind of a unique term for us. Jeff, do you want to explain what a Success tent is?
So we used to bring fail tents, which were basically pop-up tents that we only took out when something broke, so we could wrench under it. And we kept calling them, "Oh, we have a failure. Get out the fail tent."
This is in Babe Rally, right?
This is in Babe Rally. Well, no, early Lemons too.
I think it's lemons.
It started in Babe Rally.
Started in Babe Rally. So then somebody said, maybe this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Let's start calling it the Success Tent. And we are now much better than we used to be because our mental attitude is better.
So easy up, just too many syllables.
Easy.
What?
Yep.
Yeah. Success tent.
I don't know. It's stuck. So that is fine. So the thing my Pumas fell apart. All of the one foot, the whole thing of the.
It had a talking shoe. It was like.
Oh no! Oh, it was worse. It was. It was started as
the sole fell off.
Yeah, the sole fell off. I was trying to get there. I wish more friends came, because that would have made things more fun. Not the event itself, but we would have had more fun. And we missed those last 2 sessions because of the storms that came through. So that was sad.
I guess I'll go. So I want to talk about some of the people at the event. Yes, I wish more friends came because friends are like us and jibe with us. Some of there were some I don't want to say they're bad people, just some surprising people. There was a woman of a certain age with a C6 Corvette on Hooisers with big wings and caged and fully suspended in HPDE 2.
But also the kind of lady that was surprising to be doing that and not because of her.
She wasn't like a car person. Like we talked about cars and you could see her eyes glaze over like, I don't know what you're saying. And then when I'd ask her about her car, she was like, I don't know. Somebody built it for me.
And she didn't look like the one who was going to be like tying down the car, yet we didn't see her with any friends. So
yeah, like
or
she could take the car
or
No,
anything.
she had a trailer.
I think she was with the trailer. Yeah, she had the trailer.
Yeah. But like she needed help taking her car cover on and off because she was alone. Like, isn't this better with friends?
It is.
So she's like, oh, we're going to go out on the first session. And she's like, oh, I'm on Slicks. Oh, Slicks? It's HPDE 2. You're in a 450 horsepower Corvette with aero and a wrap. Like, but I'm going to say I was really worried that she was going to be terrible, and she wasn't terrible. Like, she could drive all right. She ended up, she did a lot of track days, but she never, like I said, she just wasn't a car person. I can't remember who it was. I think it was oh gosh, who was it that said that on the Babe Rally or on the Lemons, you could have like an hour-long conversation about the different stock hubcaps on a Honda Odyssey minivan? I can't remember who said that. It was some journalist that was hanging out with us. Must have been Brett Burke. Like that's who you see in a Lemons paddock. You see people who can talk esoterically about anything cars. And there was another guy,
preferably very obscure, only appeals to like 6 people.
But even in
about cars.
HPDE, I expect the Mustang guy to like be like Mustang, but anyway, like there was a guy in my session with a GT3 RS who also didn't know a lot about cars, and he was in HPDE 2 with a GT3, and he was a former rally racer who got injured and was moving to asphalt because the rigors of rally on his body were going to continue disturbing his spine. Like he had like spinal injuries. By the way, he said he knew Santiago, but I don't know if he really did or not. He was like, oh yeah, I know that guy. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So he was like in our session, and there was some aggro guy with a giant Camaro who like
wouldn't let people pass.
So I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying there were track day people, and I'm not used to track day people. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Also, need some non-natural aspirated on my Honda, on my Miata, because it was just not enough horsepower.
What would you put on that to make it non-naturally aspirated?
Ghetto charge, of course.
A bunch of stickers.
Yep.
Not a giant snail, a tiny snail.
A leaf blower.
All right.
Okay.
So let's. I want to hear from Chrissy last because she's the resident student of driving. What are you guys going to work on? So you came out of this. Everyone had something that they got better at. What are you going to work on for the next one? Or what are you taking to Thompson next month?
I'm terrible at heel towing. And I don't do it enough, and I don't practice it enough. And the upsetting of the chassis of the Miata really taught me how much I was upsetting the chassis.
There's a lot of upset on that car.
You're upsetting the car to Jeff. I beg of you, Jeff, stop upsetting the car.
And you're gonna have to shift a lot with the Honda now. It's 4 5 6 5 4 5 6 5 4 5 6 5. There's a lot of shifting. So
that's going to be on our new remix album of Chris going 4 5 6 4 5 6, and Chrissy going modulating the gas, and Jeff says
Rambutan. I was waiting for it. And brake less. We all want to brake less.
No, it's so much more than that.
Yeah. I'll say brake less. Brake later and less. I want to trail brake more, especially at Thompson. Turn 1. All the trail braking in turn 1. I got to be better at that. I have not been as good as I want to be. There we go.
Well, I will add that also. So I am also working still on my heel toe. And next time I get on track, that's what the answer will be, because I am practicing, but I am not wearing the right shoes when I practice, and therefore I'm not getting there as fast as I should be. So that's what we're working on. I'm going to do a wait and go. Practice the suggestions from the instructors for those 2 corners next time I get to pit race, and modulating the gas, and do that more rather than braking, because sometimes you don't always need to even brush braking. Sometimes you don't actually need to do that. You just need to modulate the gas.
Well, in the long sweepers, some of those sweepers at Thompson, modulating the gas is what gets you through the corner a little faster, as opposed to slowing all the way down and then speeding back up.
Totally.
You slow down a little less, modulate the gas, and power out.
True.
Okay, and we've all done multiple HPDEs with various organizations. So, if someone wants to try it, what should they do? Or even better, the selling points for I know what I'm doing. I was a state trooper. I drive X. I've been operating vehicles since you were a Glimmer in your mama's margarita. What about, how would you sell it to that crowd?
Glimmer in your mama's margarita. Go ahead, Chrissy.
It is tequila day. So my answer to answer all of Mental's questions here, just go do it. So as Chris was saying, Bill from Garage Heroes came in a stock car. So bring your street car. If you do, make sure you watch for a brake fade, check your tires well, listen for odd sounds and new leaks. Really look and make sure that you are handling all the parts of your car if you're bringing your street car, because they react a little differently. But if you have a race car, just bring that. And really, I think this is the best time that you can try new things on track. So this is just this is different than testing days before a race. It's a closed session and it's safe. You have time. You have to give point buys, so you can strategically, and you also can strategically put yourself on track when there's no one around if you want to. And you have 20 minutes to figure out what you're going to be doing. You have different instructors than the best driver on your team for testing days, and they're going to give you great, honest feedback, because that's what they're there for. So I truly believe, and to add on to Mental's, soliloquy there, I go on track. I have been racing lemons for X amount of years. I know what I'm doing. You don't. You can always get faster, and even the fastest person, I'm sure you will find something that you can work on. And sometimes, and most of the time, it's things that you don't realize. Jeff and I both had instructors that showed us things that we would have never found. I mean, maybe if we watch a lot of video, maybe Chris or somebody would have said, like, hey, you're creeping in and you're doing these weird things, and you could wait one more second before this turn and you will set yourself up better. But if you've got that person in the car to show you what you're doing, then you can start applying it to every other track and every other time you're on the track, or find out what you need to practice in the car, in your street car, before you get to the racetrack, and you will be faster.
Sounds like you're pitching a future show topic.
Mic drop. Sure, we've talked about why go to the HPD, but this is where, when I'm there and I'm learning, and you get back and I say, here are all the things that I've learned. That's why it's all fresh. So that's what I got.
Big surprise. I'm going to agree with you.
Okay.
No matter who you are.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you say you're surprised that I'm going to?
No. Big surprise. I am agreeing with you. Like sarcasm. Check the sarcasm box off on your bingo card. Everyone can use some practice or instruction. I don't care who you are. It can help you. So hey, you know what? We all like driving on track. It's fun. That's why we do this hobby. And this is a super low pressure, easy way to go out and have some fun on the racetrack. So give it a shot. It's great. You'll probably learn something. You'll probably have fun. Just make an effort to go to a couple a year, and life will be good.
I'm going to make a pitch for the classroom. We all think about track days as being there on the track, but I got a lot of value out of the discussions in the track and the classroom, the off-track stuff. There's nothing new that they told me. I've been doing a ton of research because I have this stupid podcast you may have heard of. I've been racing for a long time. Physics and science makes sense to me. So things like, all the things that we've been talking about in the Going Faster episode. but it's really good to sit around with other people who do it and really talk about it. And you sometimes get to learn language you've never used before. They show some great instructional videos. It's more roundtable than lecture sometimes, and I think that's a good thing. And the drills are actually helpful. I know that in HPDE 1, the drills were maybe a little too below me, but HPDE 2, the drills were cool. I went out with one of Chris's drills, and I thought it was awesome. I can't wait to maybe progress a little to get to some of those drills. So yeah, trust the process. Go in there, sit in the class, have the conversations, do the drills. You'll be surprised how much it helps.
So to that end then, Jeff, let's talk about you guys as your instructors or student.
Yeah, my instructors were cool. I liked them both. I only got 2 in HPDE 2. I think Chrissy might have gotten a third ride along that wasn't really instruction, but I only had 2 people in the right seat. I almost had a third, but we didn't have the arm restraints because I only brought 1 set. And then I said, "Oh, do you need arm restraints?" He says, "I'll jump in somebody else's car and come back later." And then the other 2 instructors were like, I don't need arm restraints. I'm fine. So
even though at that point we had them in the glove box.
Yeah, they were right there. So one of them wore it and the other one didn't. So anyway, I liked them both. As I spoke about earlier, the other guy first guy helped me with my lines. The second guy was a 1.6 NA Miata guy. So he was like, yo, if it's under $4,000, downshift. If it's over $4,000, just keep your foot on it. I promise. It feels slow, but it's not worth it. Like someone who understands the torque curve of my car is a big deal.
And that matters because I remember racing other Miatas. I still like to race them like torque monsters. And I've had to have people go, why are you shifting? I'm like, well, I don't want to wind out. They go, it's a Miata. For God's sakes, you have to wind it out like every time.
Yeah. That was my instructors.
Yep. So I had mine were fab. I had 2, one late in the day on Saturday and one second shift on Sunday.
Say that like you wrote it.
What? Instructors were fab.
No.
Fab.
Instructors were fab. There you go.
Sure. And so my second one was on the second shift on Sunday, and that was my last one, my last round and last.
Didn't you have a third one? You had.
Sure, I did have a ride along in my warm up when I took the Miata out. So Jeff and I switched for a round just to see what it's like, and I did have somebody then too. I don't think he told me that I was like, all of the feedback he gave me was because I was used to driving the Honda for the day before and not so. He was like, your hands are so shifty, and I was like, because this is so damn easy to drive. Like the Honda, you have to go. Like that's how you had to drive, and so anytime I did that, the Miata just turned. Like you can drive it with one hand, and that's not what I was using. So anyway, and like I said before, that they see things that you don't see, and if you think that you're doing things right, they will tell you about it, and there's always something that you can work on. When I rode along with Chris, I found a place where he didn't track out, so I told him.
Yep. She was right.
I also did a ride along with Chris and watched his feet more than I watched anything else. But enjoyed the drill too. I really thought that drill was fun.
What's this drill? Tell me about the drill.
So, Chris, you want to describe the drill? It was the hallway drill.
That one was where the cars. We had just done a 3-wide drill. So this one was, the cars go to the left and right sides of the track, leaving an open spot in the middle. The cars at the back take turns running up the middle to the front, and then getting in the front on each side and repeat. And so we did 2 laps of this. So everyone got to run up through the hallway and follow their way back. But essentially we're running 3 wide while moving constantly all the way around the track. Somehow no one got all that close to the Civic. I don't know why, but
I don't want to get bit.
Yeah.
Why is it? It's eyes. It's following me no matter where I am on the track.
I didn't realize it was only 2 laps of it, so we passed start finish, and all of a sudden everybody got aggro and started racing. I was like, "Man, these dicks don't follow the rules at all. They're just racing
they don't have rules."
Well, then that was fun though. It's kind of fun being in the Civic, dicing it out with everyone in 4 is a really good driver, so you're out there with people that know what they're doing. And I was in the worst car out there, so it was kind of fun. There's a Porsche, there's a Cayman GT3, and Corvettes, and all these things, and we're all running around having a good time.
Did you get to use the horn?
We did. I did it a couple times.
Yeah, Chrissy and Jeff used it more than anybody else.
Okay.
I did
In the paddock.
Yes.
Yeah, in the paddock when people were around and walking quietly, and then all of a sudden I just
Okay.
How was your student, Chris?
Chris.
Well, he was very combative. He hit me.
I hear he's sexually aggressive.
He is too. Yeah.
He brought stupid fruit too to the track. That's terrible.
Hey, but you made a song.
You really shouldn't call him that.
Yeah.
You made a song that you wouldn't have. So
True.
Yeah, Bill was great as expected. I mean, he listened. We had really good conversations. He immediately applied the things we were talking about. By the end, he was really able to self-correct and self-coach once he knew what right was. That was important. But by the end of the day, like, you compare Sunday afternoon to Saturday morning, and it's like a completely different person. And you can see it really, especially in the speeds. Like, he was running into rev limiters in places he wasn't even thinking of shifting earlier. So he was just carrying that much more speed. And he got to see it, and he just needs to now just make sure to keep applying it, because once he would get it and then start to go faster and then kind of revert back to base. And so he needs to have the new base be what we talked about this time. But Bill did a great job. He was a great student. I'd happily have him back anytime, as opposed to some of the other jabronis I've had over the years. But no, Bill did a great job. And I was really, really, really pleased to see how much progress he made. That's always very rewarding as an instructor. So now if he can just keep the hood down, then he'll go a little faster.
Mm-hmm. And get some of his family to get some training.
right?
Yes. Yep.
Almost. You
More
almost
than
did.
just Bill on the Garage Heroes in training needs training. So
Yep.
hence the in training part.
Yeah. Imagine how fast Alan would be if he knew what he was doing.
Yeah. Yep. All you have to do is just put something shiny on a stick in front of the car, and he'll go faster.
Or say, "Ooh, if we win, we can put on more aero."
Yep. Exactly.
He'd be like,
Or honestly, Alan just doesn't like undone things. So you have two strings. One is a bolt, one is a nut. And he just, I must screw them together. He'll go faster.
he'd be like Captain Chaos. Dun, dun, dun! Sorry.
All right. So, and again, so you guys have, Chrissy and Jeff, you guys both talked a lot about the classroom stuff. So talk about your downloads.
Yeah.
As you
So
put in there.
we had some really good ones. We talked a lot about braking and when you use them for this track. And looking at Jeff here there was a whole discussion on the brake brushing in the Miata at 1. Not
Yes.
threshold, not medium, brush braking. Okay, we've
Well-
all been on this track and know how fast you should be going in turn 1.
Yeah,
Right.
they're really. Do you want me to chime in here or wait till you're done?
Sure, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I was touching the brakes like a medium, not a threshold at the end of 1, even though I had wound out the 1.6 as hard as I could through start finish, and I was finding myself being completed my braking before I was even close to the apex turn in. So I was like accelerating through the turn, and they basically started saying like, no, you can just brush brake through that turn in a Miata.
Okay.
And
maybe.
then I got in with the Miata guy.
Chris, stop breathing into the microphone.
Thank you.
Then
Thanks.
I got in with the Miata guy, and he basically said, yeah, we just lift at the end of this string.
That's crazy.
It's
that's
crazy. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and it's because it's a visually deceptive turn. And I
It
remember
is.
Yeah,
And
totally.
it also,
the last time I was there, I was running it in the TR in the rain. So yes, there was braking. And then I was in the Beamer in the dry, and that was where I started to see a lot of progression, is just getting more aggressive. And I had to kind of force myself to eye the apex, not look at all the visual cues around it, because it's not that sharp of a turn.
and it also goes up, and it's deceptively. You don't realize that you're rising.
There's so much runoff room too.
Okay, back to download topics. We also talked about accelerating and some more cornering. So we had some other topics that we're going to, I think we've already talked about tacking onto our How to Go Faster series. So I don't want to tell you what we found. But we had time to sit and chat between sessions while we were sweating profusely. So you're just going to have to wait for the next show promo, and we'll give you a glimpse about what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
How many people in the NASA Great Lake region now are singing the Modulating the Gas song?
2 or 3.
Just 2 or 3.
Yeah.
That's how it starts. You've already gotten half of this podcast singing that song.
We may have like 2 or 3 new podcast listeners too, but only because Bill pimped our podcast more than we did.
Insisted on telling people.
So I'm going to talk real quickly. I'm not going to say what we talked about, but I'm going to say that I love the discussion on vision and the discussion about vision, which we're going to do a whole nother show on. But really just going to the classroom gives you the whys and different ways to communicate the things that you may know already. So it's going to be awesome. I also scored an interesting tip for our Pukey members on the team that I'm going to be sharing with them and also sharing during the vision episode. So if you get a little queasy in the stomach, check out the vision episode coming soon.
Is one of them don't get stupid drunk the night before?
No, has nothing to do with
No,
that.
we didn't even talk about that.
Yep.
All right, so around the table, folks, anything to wrap up? Obviously, Great Lakes, way to go. NASA, HPDE, also really good. There's other good track day organizations out there that have good, strong education, depending on where you are. Ask around, talk to your gearheads. What are we missing? Chris?
I just want to shout out. Oh, sorry, I jumped in.
Yeah, you did.
Nothing. We're good. It was a good weekend. A lot of fun all around.
Okay.
I just want to shout out Joey and Derek. Was that his name? Derek.
Yes.
Great.
And John.
Stories. And John, yes. But Joey specifically, he ran a lot of our classes. He had some great stories. Mental, you and Joey could hang out.
And you would
a long time.
We'd have so much fun together.
He is a flight instructor for I assume the Air Force. I'm not really sure.
I don't know.
He might be a Navy jock. I don't know, but he is a U.S. military flight instructor, and he told some heck of funny stories. 14 out of 10 would let him instruct me anytime.
Okay.
What are we down
Chrissy?
to?
Oh, I'm sorry. It was
wrap-up?
fantastic. No, it was great. I had a great time. Always do. Went in with positive attitude because I've had every time we've done this before, I've had a great time. I had a great time this time. Really excited to get back out on track because this is just the kind of the precursor to it. So now I have to get ready for Thompson.
I gotta say, I've had frustrating race weekends. I don't think I've ever had a bad HPDE weekend.
I have, but we won't talk about that.
Fair enough. All right. So, Jeff, I believe you've got the headlines for the next topic.
Hella sweet or but terrible time. This thing is going on long. We're at over an hour and a half already. So let's just go really quickly. It's long roof time, so check it off your box. The Drive just released an article about all the long roof cars you can buy today because the departure of the Gulf Sport Wagon all-track versions. So they say there isn't much left that is interesting. We got a link in the show notes, so click, check it out. State of the long roof in America, hella sweet or but terrible. Around the horn, Chrissy.
Hella sweet. I will take any one of these cars. I'm like, oh, I like that car.
Really?
Oh, I like
The Audi Allroad?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Actually, that's kind of cool. I would do. I mean,
I'm actually with her on that one. It's a cool car.
I mean,
Eh.
I know. I mean, I'm like, I would. Okay.
It is
okay.
the bottom of the list. Actually, in the Subaru Outback. No.
Wait.
Terrible.
So this wasn't. I'm sorry.
I
This
wouldn't
wasn't,
take a Subaru Outback, but I do find myself attracted to women sometimes.
We all got our hands
That's a
up.
Forester, Jeff.
You go first.
Okay, so this wasn't the hella sweeter but terrible wasn't let's go through each car, right? It was not like, oh, why do you
Sorry.
like that one? This was, do you like long roof or not long roof? And I am saying I like long roof because I am looking at most of these cars saying hell yes. So that's what. So sure, I can rate them if you want me to, but I'm not. But like
I was
Audi,
just saying,
pretty
you
low.
said I would have
Ferrari
all of
is
them, and I was saying
ugly. Well, okay, I would take most of them.
So what I hear you
going
saying
to be in my
is
driveway.
So what I hear you saying is, while we do not have the same list of offerings, the offerings we have, you like them all. Hence the hella sweet.
Yes.
Well, let's not
That
say
makes
all.
sense to me.
No, I mean, like, I don't want an Audi. Like, it's not, I don't want a Subaru, but a Sport Break's going to be in my driveway. Although it says this is the last year that it might be here.
Well, that's
it's
good
okay.
because in a couple
We're not
years
buying
it'll
it
be
new
used
anyway. So
Fine. Ferrari's ugly.
I think the all-road is cool. I wouldn't own a new one because we know that it's made by Volkswagen Auto Group, and that just means the light switches and shit is going to break immediately. But you said you wouldn't drive an Outback. I would buy one for the wife. I would prefer that over the Forester we're driving now.
Yes, but I was challenged to rating because apparently I'm.
No, well, just because you said all of them are great, and I was disputing that all of them are great. I will say
I like the two Volvos too. Go on.
I will say that the
what do you like? I'm sorry. What?
Let
me interrupt you, like you just interrupted me.
Yep. The quantity of long roofs is lacking, unfortunately. But the quality of what is available currently is excellent. That's where I'll go with it.
That's excellent. I like that. And these were all true wagons, not hatches. So things like the Mazda 3 hatch did not get listed, although I would consider that a long roof. The best selling hatch.
Well, I think long roof also encompasses 4-door hatches, but wagons are just wagons.
Yes. So like,
and this is really the wagon list.
Yes, it's like the Buick Regal Tour X, the Volvo V60 and 90, the A4 Allroad, the Mercedes E-Class wagon, the Porsche Panamera Sport Turismo, the Ferrari GTC4 Lusso, which is really more of a shooting brake, and the Jagan.
Jag.
Yeah. And they also they didn't consider like the Kia Soul, which people
that's just dumb.
Well, I know it's dumb, but that is considered.
But for $99 with proof of income and proof of residency, we can put you in a new car.
Well, not only that, but that is like the best-selling hatchback in America. They're all over the damn place.
Because with proof of income,
exactly. Next show. Promo.
Oh wait, did Mental give his?
Oh, sorry.
Well, no, I was going to say I actually, without going through this whole list, I agree wholeheartedly with Chris. We don't have a whole lot of selection, but there's some great ones out there. I still stand that the Mini Clubman is the most underrated vehicle out there. Especially if you live in a city and you need to haul stuff, it's tiny. You can park it anywhere, but its cargo capacity is impressive. You can put a washing machine in the back of it, and that was a design point. That's not an opinion. That was a design point for Mini when they built that car.
Did you read my notes?
America's smallest available wagon, yes, and the only long roof available with the manual. That is true. And you get a 3-cylinder turbo.
They're all 3-cylinder turbos.
Next show promo.
Okay, so how can you learn to go faster? So we're going to discuss some topics that we learned on track and in our classroom download sessions, and we're going to give you some ideas on how to go faster, even if you don't have the money or time or permission or etc. to get on track to do your own practice. So stay tuned.
Great.
I'm getting my music up. Here it comes. I was stuck between going to Rambutan, but I decided to use our regular music.
Black Betty had a fruit.
Okay, now we're going to go to it now.
Come on.
No, just say it. Come on.
Just read it.
Oh, wait. I'll get there 1 second. Here it comes.
Jeffrey, are you having trouble with your reading
I'm
now?
fine. I'm not having fun. Thank you for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We also hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. Then go to iTunes and give us a 5-star
I don't think that's Ram Jam. I think you dug up Motorhead or something.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Come on, we're almost done.
Or
just turn the show
Even
off.
if you hate us, give us a 5-star rating.
Go to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. Tell us why. If you have any questions or show ideas, I don't know what's going on here.
Just finish the damn outro.
Everyone Racers, email us, everyone.racers@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram or Twitter. Thanks again, and until next week, keep the shiny side up. Unless there is no shiny side, then just keep the wheels down.
Rambutan.